much for stopping by the channel. My name's Leah, and let's get into Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 12, episode 2. No, it's 3. It's 3. They're not playing games. They are not playing games this season. So let's get into a little bit of drama, y'all. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Miss Delores. Like I told y'all, Delores and David are not together anymore. And she got a new man, and his name is Paul. She actually looks really happy with him. I honestly don't remember any pictures that she took with David. So I think this might be a lot better for her. This guy seems very affectionate. And like I said, she really does seem happy. And he's handsome. So good for Miss Delores. The other tea I wanted to talk about is, I think it's so crazy how these women who like audition for these shows are never truly sure if they are like a full-time cast member, or if they're a friend of the show. So this was like some background information. It says backstage of Tracy's family filming. So it's actually like, you know, the intro shot where we see the women come up, and then you see their families in the background, and it's just a few little pictures of Tiki with their 2 daughters. And I just find that so crazy that she was supposed to be a full-time cast member. Like that's what full-time cast members do. We get to see their families do the cute little background thing, and they demoted her. And I think that's so crazy that you could think that you are full-time and then they just discard you. That's wild to me. But let's get into this episode. Okay, y'all. So the episode opens up with Delores and her kids and that beautiful townhome. And basically, they're all kind of complaining about Frank not doing his job in renovating their home. So they're all stuck at the townhome. We end up finding out that the kids are a little hesitant about moving in with Frank, or Frank moving in with them. Like Frank and them they have never lived as a family unit. We find out that Delores got a divorce from Frank when she was like several months pregnant with Frankie. And then I think Gabby was only like maybe 2 or 3. So they've never lived together. It's always been Delores and her kids. I thought it was weird that they kept referring to Frank. Like the kids kept calling Frank. Nobody was calling him dad except Delores, but I guess that's their dynamic. So then we find out that Gabby and Frank got into an argument because she said something slick to him. He got mad and they hadn't talked for like 3 days. And so we find out that Gabby has an attitude and a slick mouth like her daddy, whereas Frankie is a pacifist, and he just wants everything to be okay. Like he doesn't want any arguing. He just wants things to move on accordingly and be peaceful. And they decide to have a family meeting so that they can set the ground rules of like where they're like how this is going to go when all 4 of them live together. I think it's important to have that conversation because y'all are adults now. I think Gabby's like 25 and Frankie's like 22. So y'all might as well talk it out. Delores basically says she doesn't feel like it's fair to kick Frank out the home when the kids were away, Frank was living in the house. We also find out that Frank actually paid for the whole entire house, but he didn't get in the divorce. Delores did. So he's trying to finish the home so they can all move in together. The next scene we see is Gia and her little friends, and they're all like taking pictures and stuff, and they're promoting for her sweatshirt line. Y'all know her song, Waking Up in the Morning, I feel so many things, I wish things would get better. So she was smart to make money off of it. So she's made hoodies, and they're being sold in like boutiques around the city. So I gotta give her props. Like I was wondering what she was gonna do with it, because like they did the flashback. Like so many people were like dubbing it or like doing it voiceovers. You had all type of rappers, like celebrities, and everybody was attached to it. We all had fun memeing that. So we then see that Adriana, their little sister, is there, and then Melania is there as well taking pictures. Basically, Melania don't see it for her uncle right now, and she don't really want to have this sit-down meeting that they're supposed to be having at Louis' house. I found it crazy how much Gia was like a mom in that moment. Because Gia was like, we talked, we're good, and you don't really have like basically a choice whether or not you want to go because you going. And Melania was like, you can't, like basically like, you can't make me. But the way Gia looked at her was like, you think I can? And it's just, it's sad, and it's sad and it's cute. It's cute that like she has taken on this leadership role, but it's sad because she shouldn't have to because of her age. Like she should be able to be like a big sister and not like a motherly figure. But right now Melania says she don't know if she want to go. But Teresa was like, he's my brother. I need y'all to go. He is my only family. And I think that's one thing that the kids don't understand, where it's like Teresa doesn't have anybody except Joe. Like she doesn't have the best relationship with her cousins. Like her mom and dad are gone. So all she really has is Joe. Whereas Gia, Melania, Gabriella, and Adriana have each other. They still have Teresa and their daddy, even though he across the pond. But she doesn't have anyone. So I think that's why it's so important I think that's why she feels like it's so important for her family to be together, because at this point she really doesn't have anybody else other than her brother. So then the next scene we see is the boys having a lunch date. It's Margaret, Joe Gorga, and Frank. So they sitting down, they doing shots. I was like, it was gross to see them do shots of espresso with like, I think it was either tequila or vodka, and I was like, that's nasty. But they gossiping like they always do. And they're asking about like, how's Bill? Frank is like, I talked to him, he not good. You can clearly tell that like none of the men really like Jennifer. They like Bill, but they don't like Jennifer. You got Margaret's Joe talking about, his wife he's like, I love Frank, but his wife just went over the edge. And I'm like your wife don't be going over the edge, bro. Like they do each other dirty. So miss me with that. And then Joe is still upset about the crook comment, when it's like, it's true though. So it was crazy. So then we also found out that like Margaret's Joe has a crush on Delores. And he was like, when Delores goes, when Margaret goes, he going after Delores. And I was like, I would not want my man ever saying he wanted to go after my friends. It's okay if you thought my friends were cute or attractive, but don't keep that to yourself. Keep that to yourself, bruh. And then Frank was like, yeah, she a great wife. I was just a crappy husband. And I was just like, you not gonna check him? Check him. And then it ends there, pretty much. Okay, so the next scene got really heavy, and it was with Jackie and Evan. I don't really see it for Jackie, but I thought this scene was very important, and it really, I felt bad. I felt really bad for her. So we all know Jackie has an eating disorder, and I think sometimes we forget that like an eating disorder sticks with you for the rest of your life. Like just how they says just how people say that when you have like addiction issues, like addiction stays with you your whole entire life. And it got heavy. So we see Evan and Jackie, they're out to dinner. The restaurant they went to was cute. And like you could see that there was something wrong, kind of. So the waiter comes by, runs off like things off the menu, and she really didn't like pick anything. Then when Evan was like, oh, you want, like, I'm gonna try to get her to eat some stuff off my plate. And then when he offered her something, Jackie was like, oh, it's 5:30. And I was like, well, why are y'all at dinner, girl? Like, if you're not gonna eat. And then it clicked. I was like, oh, okay, like she just wanted to be out with her husband, but she really didn't want to eat. Like, and so, but she was drinking though. That's my only thing, is like, she's already fairly small. And then she's drinking. I was like, girl, like, you got to eat something. So then, they have the conversation about when they were growing up, like going to college. Like Jackie was in a sorority. Evan was in a fraternity. They give me that. They give Jackie not so much, but like Evan gives me that, and especially when they showed the pictures, I was like, oh yeah, he was definitely a frat boy. And she said something about, that was back in the day when I was 75 pounds heavier, and then she didn't even look that heavy. Then she corrected herself and said 30. And then they got on this conversation about when she fainted when they went to go see some friends. And she said like she hadn't eaten that whole entire day. And he was like, why not? And she was like, you know why. And then they showed a picture of her in her wedding dress. You could see her bones. And I was like, wow, like she really battled like with this severely. And I was just like, dang. Which is kind of crazy because I'm like, how can you be around the women on this show? Because they eat. Like Teresa, Delores, Jennifer, even Margaret, like they eat. Melissa, like they eat. Like that's what their culture is surrounded by, is food. And I wonder if that like makes her feel even more uncomfortable, because you're always in these groups that like the spread is always huge. So she talks about it, and basically she had a rough, like last season was rough for her, and she has kind of relapsed back into some of her ways of being very strict on herself and what she can and cannot eat. I really like felt bad when she broke down kind of when Evan was like, oh, the kids notice, and she was like, no they don't. And she was like, and he was like, yeah, like he was kind of like, yeah. And she was like, when, like you could see like she was hurt, like she was really hurt that her kids noticed that are like that she was eating these same meals every night, and it was just like salad. And she was saying she hates how, like she hates that like food freaks her out so much, and how she doesn't want to die because you need food. And then she was disappointed in herself because she hated the fact that like she was happy that she was so stressed that she lost weight and she was underweight. And I was just like, dang, like that's a serious thing. Like I remember when I found out one of the girls I went to school with was bulimic, and I didn't even know like it was mind-boggling to me to find out that she was bulimic, because she was such a fitness person, like posting workouts and all that stuff. And then to find out from other people, because it was like a lot of people that were like, yeah, that she did do that. And I was just like so taken back by it, because you wouldn't think she was like, and same thing, like people probably never thought Jackie was. And we as a society have like it's a very flawed way of thinking when it comes to people's weight and fitness, that like it protects those, or it allows those who have very dangerous ideas about their weight to do these types of things and then be praised for it, which kind of makes it like a mind F, because it's like I'm being praised for being skinny and this small, but then I'm also killing myself because I'm not feeding my body what it needs in order to function properly. I also like the fact that like Evan was very like, he was calm, he was supportive. And you could tell he was choosing his words wisely, because he did say he tried to be there before for her and she would shut him down. So he probably has learned how to talk to her. And I think that it's wonderful that she has someone like Evan that's willing to be there for her and not like make her feel ashamed or belittle her with such a serious situation. I'm hoping she can get a handle on it, because you don't want this to affect your kids, especially because she has a daughter and we know how that be doing to us. But I'm happy that she said at the end of the conversation she was going to go to therapy. And I think that's the most important thing, that she goes to therapy. So the next thing we see is Jackie on the phone with Jennifer. And Jackie basically brings up that she doesn't feel like Delores is being a good friend to her, to Jennifer. And I was just kind of like, why is that your place? Like, Jackie, why is that your place to tell Jennifer that you don't feel like Delores is being a good friend? honestly, I don't think Delores is being a good friend, but I'm looking at Jackie like, it's not your place to tell somebody that. Like, you and her just started working on your friendship, so I don't feel like you should feel the need to reiterate these sentiments towards her. And unfortunately, Jennifer feels the same way because she said that, but Jackie invites Jennifer to her frat party. While her and Evan were on their dinner date, they talked, when they were talking about their sorority and fraternity thing, they were like, "Oh, we should have a frat party," and things of that nature. So they're gonna have a frat party and invite everybody. The only person that can't come is Teresa, is because she's taking, I think they said Adriana or Adriana to dance practice, or like she has a dance competition. Okay, y'all. So the next scene is basically Teresa and the family. So we're at Louis' house. We meet his brother. He has a nice home. They're making like pizza. They're making your own pizza and they're eating pasta. Everybody's invited. When I say everybody, I mean like Melissa and Joe and the kids and then her kids and things like that. We finally get to see Gabriella. I like Gabriella. Gabriella is a mood. Like, you can tell that Gabriella is not, I wouldn't say she's not comfortable around the cameras, but she wants no parts, really. It's like, I show my face, let y'all know I'm still here, and I go about my day and do what I want to do. So Melania comes. I thought it was really sweet when the kids saw each other and they were all hugging on each other. I think that's the saving grace of this family, is the kids, because the kids seem like they really love and care about one another. Like, Melania was hugging the mess out of like the young, like Joey and Antonia and all of them, and the vice versa. Like, all the kids were happy to see each other. So they go outside. Louis and the word beautiful was getting on my nerves. Like, that man said beautiful like 12 times. At first I thought Louis maybe was like, I think Louis is too aware of the cameras. He's not comfortable yet, but he seems like a decent dude, even though we've heard not so great things about him when it pertains to him and his previous relationships. It seems like he's genuinely trying to turn over a new leaf by being someone who shares their feelings. And I think that is what Teresa likes about him the most, or what she is so attracted to, is because he's so open. Whereas when she was with Joe Giudice, he was so closed off and cold towards her. And when she wanted to feel like that love or that affection or be pampered or be spoiled, he would never give her that. And we can see that Louis does that. He seems like a decent dude. Granted, I think they moving too fast and she need to get a prenup, but the dudes seem alright. So they're sitting down. All the kids are sitting at the table, even and they're talking. Before they sit down, Teresa and Melissa kind of go at it for a little bit. And basically, Teresa's whole thing is like, how come all of y'all was going down my back about what I said about Jackie and Evan, that none of y'all feel sorry for Jennifer about what Margaret did? And I think the thing is that Teresa doesn't understand is that, like, everybody felt like you were vindictive about what you did with Jackie, and it was just out of left field and it was out of pocket. Whereas people feel like what Margaret did to Jennifer is warranted because they have such a contentious relationship where they throw daggers and bombs at each other left and right. So it's kind of like, girl, this is just the power for the course in this war that we got between each other. Whereas a lot of people feel like what Teresa did was wrong. To me, I think both were wrong. Teresa was wrong, and I think Margaret is wrong to bring up this rumor. But I understand why the women don't really feel bad for Jennifer, especially Melissa, when Melissa feels like Jennifer calling them crooks really was just out of pocket, and she really can't, she don't see it for Jennifer no more because she felt like she came for her family. My only thing about Melissa is like, sis, like Jennifer has been making it known, you have said countless things. Like, before Jennifer even made that comment or that thread, you said like 4 things. Like, you made 4 back-to-back posts about Jennifer before she retaliated. You're just mad is that her clap back was stronger than yours. and you wasn't thinking she was gonna hit you like that. That's why y'all be hating on Jennifer. So we sitting at the table, and Louis is like, what we do in our family is we write these notes and we talk about what we want to work on and what we want to let go. Teresa goes, and no, Louis goes first. And I kind of was annoyed with Joe when Joe was like, Louis don't really be saying nothing. Louis does talk in circles, but for the most part, I got what he was saying. Like, you just listen. Joe don't listen. He need to learn to listen. So then with Teresa, when she said loyalty, I hate that Teresa always be asking for loyalty from her family, but you don't give it to them. You really don't. Then Melissa comes and says something about like she wants to spend more time. And Teresa was like, well, that's why I told you to invite me over on Sundays. And then Melissa was like, no, we're only speaking positivity. But before this whole we're only speaking positivity, in your green screen and in like your confessional, you was talking Cash Money ish about Teresa not taking accountability. So is it really positivity, Melissa? Or you just don't want to be held accountable like you say Teresa don't want to be held accountable? Honestly, it's just a hamster wheel with this family. Like, they all want things from each other, but they're not willing to give those things to each other. They both sides want loyalty, both sides want accountability, but neither one of them want to like budge. It's just a constant wheel, like a constant hamster wheel. That's why I said the only saving grace for them is these children. So as they're having this conversation, Melania speaks up. And Melania basically says, like, I don't like feeling like I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, I'm always waiting for something to happen. And I just want to feel like there's nothing's going to happen. We're all just going to be okay. And I guess from her saying that, Joe finally, like, the light bulb moment happened and he realized he was wrong. The only thing the thing I didn't agree with Joe was that like family should be able to say anything to each other and then 5 minutes later we should be okay. That makes no sense to me. And I wonder what your kids be saying to each other or what you be saying to them. Because in what world do you live in where someone can like disrespect you, talk dirty about you, like degrade you, and then 2 minutes later, I'm your uncle, give me a hug? That makes no sense to me. And Joe don't be listening to himself. He be sounding stupid. But they got past it. I'll give Louis this. He seems like a good dude in the sense of like, he's coming into this family and trying to mend fences and like build bridges. At least he's not coming into this family to like further the wedge and cause chaos. So I give you that, Louis. Good for you. So next thing you know, we see everybody getting ready for the party. For Jackie's and Evan's party, we see Jennifer on the phone with Bill trying to make sure like, mother, you're not gonna leave me out here by myself. Like, you coming to this party with me. We see Tiki and Teresa. Tiki and Tracy getting together. Tracy is basically saying she feels bad for Jennifer. She doesn't understand why the ladies just won't allow her to like process and grieve this whole experience. And she brings up how there was rumors spread about her and her relationship to Tiki, when it's like, girl, it wasn't rumors. Like, it wasn't a rumor. His wife was 7 months pregnant with twins and they got a divorce and you came in, and a lot of people have said they saw y'all together while he was with his wife. So what are we talking about, Tracy? What are we talking about? So we also see Margaret, Miss Troutmouth. And it's weird. Margaret brings up Jennifer, how she was like, because her assistant is like, is Jennifer coming? And she was like, I don't know, but if she's coming, she needs to get over it. Everybody knows about the rumor. And it's like, Margaret, why do you care if she's sad or she gets over it? Like, are you feeling guilty? Because that's my only thing. It's like Margaret is like trying to regulate Jennifer's emotions about this situation and trying to get her to stop crying about it, when it's like, you did this thing to her. Like, you caused her pain. Like, you said the thing about the divorce, not the divorce. You said the thing about him cheating, wanting to cause her pain, and now that she's in pain, you don't like the display of said pain, and you have an issue with it. Like, that's weird to me. That's mad weird to me. So we're at the party. The function was bare. Like, they didn't put no effort into this. They only had one keg, one lousy beer pong table. When I was like, there's so many other like cute little beer pong tables that they could have got. Like, y'all could have made this an event, and y'all really didn't, and I'm disappointed with all that money y'all got. Everybody gets there. We see Delores and Joe, Margaret's Joe, hugging. Margaret knows about Joe, saying when she dies, he gonna get with Delores, and her face was very like, this face was scrunched. We then see, like, and that's the other thing, Delores is such a gossip. Not Delores, Margaret is such a gossip that she told on herself. So we see Melissa, they're talking about Joe's like penis, Joe's penis, and then Margaret's like, oh, I heard Joe has a big penis. And Melissa looked at her like, what you know about my man? And she was like, oh, Delores told me. And then Melissa looked, and then you see Margaret going, like she put her foot in her mouth. So then they called Delores over there, and Delores was like, I ain't never seen his penis. And Delores is like, Margaret, like looking at Margaret like, why would you say that? And so they go over to Joe, and Melissa's like, have you ever slept with Delores? And Joe was like, no, that's like sleeping with my sister. Like, I've known her since high school. No. And then Melissa's like, girls from Patterson. And I was like, girl, stop. So we then see Jen and Bill get there. Jackie greets Jen. I just think it's weird that Margaret wants Jen to just get over it when it's like, you purposely said these things to hurt her, so she's hurt. So I just like, if she's hurt, why do you care? Like, you said that stuff to hurt her. So why are you upset about her expression? And then she says, at 44, you got to stop. Isn't there a limit on crying? No, there's not a limit on crying. Granted, there comes a point in time when like you doing too much, but people need to cry. That's why people be out here being crazy, because that's a lot of emotions just stockpiled in there. We see Bill talking to everybody, and then they start talking. We see everyone's mingling at the party. We didn't see the ladies ask Delores about David, and basically she was like, she wanted more from David. She's like, yes, David bought me, I don't know if he bought the townhouse or he purchased or helped her purchase it. He bought her a car, but she was like, at the end of the day, I wanted more. I wanted a commitment. And she talked about how she had a friend that was like someone's girlfriend for 15 years. And when he was on life support, they didn't even ask the girlfriend, like the family didn't even ask the girlfriend, like, are you okay with this? They just pulled the plug. And she was like, I need that type of security. I need the security of knowing that like when there are major life decisions, I'm in control and I can be there, or I have a say in it at least. Like the girl didn't have a say, which is true, which is really true. Like, if you're in a family that doesn't like you and something bad happens to your significant other, that family is just gonna look at you like you're just a girlfriend, like you hold no weight, even if you've been together for like 50 something years. So this is where it get real spicy. The spicy part that we all been waiting for. So the commotion in the conversation. So we see Jennifer is talking to Tracy about the situation, and Jennifer is thanking Tracy for having her back. Then Delores comes up there and she was like, I have your back, Jennifer, but like I just didn't understand like why you were so sad or something like that. And Jennifer basically was like, I don't feel like you've been being the best friend to me. And she was like, I gotta be honest, Jackie even said she saw it. So Delores was like, so Jackie is questioning my friendship to you? I said, ooh. And Jackie comes over there And Jackie and Dolores is like, so you, sir, and I'm not being a good friend to Jennifer. And Jackie stood in it with her drink. And you could tell that Jackie was a little twisted. And Jackie was like, well, yes, you're not being a good friend. You're telling her she can't be in pain and she can't be sad. I've dealt with this. And then Dolores is like, girl, you were just talking about her over a video. Like, what are you talking about? The Merriam-Webster video is funny to me. But she was like, yes, we had our issues, and yes, but I still can tell that she needs friends better. Like, she needs more support, and you're not doing that for her. And she was like, you're more of a friend to Margaret. And Dolores's rebuttal was like, I'm a friend to both of you. And Jennifer was like, I think you're a little closer to Margaret more. And then Margaret comes over there and Margaret's like, no, Delores, you are definitely more my friend. And I was like, Margaret, shut the hell up. Like, you didn't need to validate that experience. You could have just been like, no, she's friends with both of us. Our relationship together is different than your relationship. Like that, like there didn't need to be any, like, of course you're more my friend. It was like, nigga, we're not 12. We are not 12. We are not 12. We're not 12. We're not 13. We're not 15. Like, you're a grown 50-something-year-old woman. You didn't need to say that. So then Dolores is like, well, I'll work on that with you. And she directed it towards Jennifer. And Jennifer was like, okay, I received that. But then Dolores messed up when Dolores was like, but I don't need to hear all of this from this. And she said it towards Jackie. So Jackie's a little twisted. And Jackie's like, no, don't call me this. And Dolores is like, trying to ignore her. And Jackie is like, no, you are going to respect me. And Dolores was like, I don't have to respect you. And I'm not going to. And then Jackie was like, Jackie got closer. So this is my thing. Jackie was eating up Dolores, but Jackie stepped to Dolores. Like, you could clearly see that Jackie stepped a little closer to Dolores, and then she had the finger. And then Dolores was kind of like, girl, like, get out my face. And then Jackie was like, no, you're going to respect me. And then Dolores is like, or what? Or what? Or what? I said, ooh. And this is my thing. You can tell that Dolores liked to tussle back in the day, because the way that Joe was like, Frank, go get Dolores. And Frank was like, ooh. And Frank kind of like scurried over there. I think Dolores is going to put her hands on Jackie? No. Because Dolores don't want to get sued, because Jackie gives very much, I call 911 on everybody. But my only thing was like, Jackie did a little too much with the finger in the face and stepping in Dolores's personal space. But I also think Jackie was twisted. But I give her props for standing in it and checking Dolores for saying like, girl, don't call me this. And I give Dolores props for saying like, or what? Well, what you gonna do about it? Mind you, I did not know Dolores was that short compared to everybody else. But it was a good episode. Jersey brings it. That's the thing about it. Like, New Jersey brings it. Like, that's why they're one of my favorite franchises out of Housewives franchises. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Drop down in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. Who team you on? Team Jackie or Team D-Lo? And remember to be bravely authentic. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.